The Senate Majority Leader, Senator Mitch McConnell. Senator, great to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you. What's your reaction to what's happening there on the border and what's happening in D.C. with these congressmen and women not voting to really crack down on the border problem?
Yeah, it's a real problem. Last week or two ago, we passed a supplemental for the floods, storms, damages we had in Puerto Rico and Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Nebraska. In the Senate, we wanted to add to it roughly $5 billion the president's requested to deal not with the wall, but just the humanitarian part of the crisis at the border. The Democrats insisted on stripping it out. So I'm going to bring it up freestanding next week and see if they really aren't interested in dealing with this massive humanity that we have to take care of at the border. What's the objection? This is not about the wall, but about the humanitarian crisis. Actually, I think it's safe to say the president is getting more cooperation out of Mexico than he is out of congressional Democrats.
He said too.
Do you think, and we've talked about this on this program, where we've had experts who've come in and they've said, look, the Democrats don't want to give the president a win, and that would be a big win for him, so they're going to deny that at any cost. Do you agree with that?
I think they're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. Whatever he's for, they are reflexively against. But this is humanitarian. This is not, we want to build a wall. We think the president's made a good case for that. That's not what this is about. This is just the humanitarian part of the problem on our side, obviously, of the border.
Right. Well, now that the Democrats have had to abandon this silly position that it's not a crisis, it's increasingly obvious to anyone who watches the news. How do you think this plays in 2020? Everybody's focused on the presidential election, but let's be honest, it's a really tough competitive map for you on the Senate side. Not as conducive to wins as it was the last time. You're defending a lot of seats.
Yeah, well, holding the Senate's really important. What we're seeing now on the Democratic side is a debate about whether socialism would be a good thing for America.
Right, crazy.
I never thought in my lifetime we'd be debating the free enterprise system in this country. That's what we're debating. If we hold the Senate, I've sort of, with a smile on my face, declared I'm the Grim Reaper. What I meant was none of these socialist schemes, the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, are going to pass the Senate. And, of course, when the president's reelected, that'd be the backstop as well to veto that kind of stuff. It would fundamentally change America into something it's never, ever been.
Health care is a big issue for the voters. The polls are showing that. The president's saying he's expanding health care for small businesses and for workers. He's also hinting around that he's going to have a health care plan, a new health care plan within the next few months. Do you know anything about this?
We're anxious to see what the president recommends. It's interesting to take a look at the Democrats, though. They're walking away from Obamacare and saying, well, that wasn't enough. Now they want to do Medicare for all, which would eliminate 180 million Americans' private health insurance that they like. So clearly they're walking away from Obamacare. There's a space there for the president to advocate something, and we're looking forward to seeing what he's going to recommend.
Mr. Leader, let's listen in. Here's the president talking about this topic Friday at the White House.
We are dramatically increasing the ability of Americans to access more affordable health insurance through options and through their employers. We're doing so by expanding health reimbursement arrangements, or HRAs. And thanks to the changes we're making, an estimated 11 million Americans will now choose their own plans with the help of the HRAs.
Senator, okay, so that's the president on Friday. I've heard that there are Republicans, and you could be one of them, who have encouraged the president not to talk about health care before the election.
Well, what he's doing is through the executive branch, through regulations, expanding health care for a lot of Americans, which he can do on his own.
Right.
The problem in the Senate and the House is the Democrats control the House, so we can't pass what we would like to do. So the president is wisely and skillfully using the tools that he has within the executive branch to make it more possible for people to band together small businesses for purchasing power.
But the idea of him coming up with something to replace Obamacare with, you want that after the election?
Well, he has said he's going to lay a plan out, and he has said it would be dealt with after the election when we get the Congress, a Congress that's more sympathetic to our approach to health care.
All right.
All right, what do you think about what's happening in Iran? Iran is breaching their uranium stockpile limit. The limit that they're allowed to have is 660 pounds of uranium. They're now saying they're going to quadruple the productivity. They're not allowed to do that.
We're squeezing them very hard.
With sanctions.
With sanctions that the Treasury Department's done an excellent job of pursuing. And that's why you see them striking out with these attacks on vessels in the Persian Gulf. The sanctions are really hurting. The president made the right decision in backing out of the nuclear deal because it wasn't much of a deal. And I think they're doing exactly the right thing in squeezing the Iranians through these sanctions. And it's clearly having an impact, which is why they're striking out. Now, look, the president's not trying to start a war. He made it clear to everybody he's not trying to start a war. But these are measured responses to Iranians acting out in the way that they always act out in the Middle East, with either directly or through surrogate groups killing people. I mean, they manufactured the IEDs that killed and maimed an awful lot of Americans during the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm. Senator, you had your legacy on judges with President Trump is going to be terrific, getting constitutional judges appointed to the court. If another seat opens on the Supreme Court, are you going to push that through?
Absolutely. You know, the precedent that people ignored back in 2016 when I made the decision not to fill the vacancy during the middle of the presidential election was who controlled the Senate.
That's right.
You know, you have to go back to 1888 to find the last time a Senate of a different party from the president confirmed a vacancy to the Supreme Court that occurred during the presidential election. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. We will still control the Senate next year. If there were to be a vacancy, of course we would fill it.
Something else. Yesterday on Fox News Sunday, Chris Wallace hosted Jon Stewart, the comedian, who has been a real advocate for the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. Your name came up. I'm sure you heard about it. Listen to this, and then we're going to get your reaction.
I want to make it clear that this has never been dealt with compassionately by Senator McConnell. He has always held out until the very last minute, and only then, under intense lobbying and public shaming, has he even deigned to move on it.
Why has it always seemed that the vote comes at the last minute?
Well, many things that Congress have at the last minute. We've never failed to address this issue, and we will address it again. I don't know why he's all been out of shape, but we will take care of the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund.
I think he was shocked that when he was appearing before that committee, I believe it was in the House, so few members showed up that day.
Well, that frequently happens because members have a lot of things going on at the same time. And it sounds to me like he's looking for some way to take offense. There's no way we won't address this problem appropriately. We have in the past, and we will again in the future.
It will be fully funded.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good to know.
Thank you.
I think
Senator,
everyone hopes that.
Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you.
For stopping
Good to be
by.
with you.
Thank you.
All right.